right, folks. What's good? We are live. AB producing a live show like it's 2018.
Whew.
B-turn in a hotel in Oklahoma City. But we've got a big night, and we've got news we want to share. And I wanted to try and give more people time to trickle in as we go. But I guess a couple things we can catch them up. First thing, if you're watching, subscribe. This is our new YouTube channel. This is where all our new episodes are going to be going to. So, I mean, we got to over 100 last night, which was awesome. B-turn did his thing, putting in work, and other people subscribing. So it was great. But we got to keep that going because this is where our new episodes are going to be going. Also, so the bigger news is that we're going back out on our own. We're going independent. We're doing our own thing. It's like the old days. We're sitting around AB's grandma's kitchen table, drinking Hennessy with Jeff Graves. Like the old days are back, and we are gonna start. We don't want to say what all we're gonna do, but we have plans. We want to do more. We want to put out better content. We want to get more creative, and this is where you're gonna find that and when we release the new podcast feed too. That's the big thing. Also, eventually we're gonna have to hammer that out and get you all to resubscribe. So we are juiced. We're excited. Feels like a new era of the pod, even though last era was great. But we got a new one. Boys, AB, you're so locked in. It's like you're back in your 2018-year-old brain. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm so excited, guys. Like, I just miss the creativity aspect of it and making a new intro that's going to sound very similar with a new little clip in there and setting up the little video thing that we've never done before on our own. It feels like, I don't know, like we're starting over again in a way. Like we do have to rebuild everything, which is fine. We can do that. That's what makes me excited for it. But it kind of feels good to just, be back with the three boys, whatever we want to do, whenever we want to do. So I'm excited for it.
Hey, and let's clarify real quick. The intro's making a comeback.
Yes,
maybe he's been cooking. The intro is coming in, but we can't do it on YouTube, we don't think. We think we'll get kicked off. Now, keep in mind, we are absolute idiots when it comes to this, so it's going to take us the time to figure all this out. But we're pretty sure you can't throw the hum on YouTube, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll test things out. But B-turn, how are you feeling? And by the way, did we just lose B-turn?
We just lost B-turn. Well,
I guess he's not feeling great.
He's hopping back on. Here he is. There's the guy.
New era.
It just like paused and stopped, and now I'm here. I was gone for a second. I don't know what you asked me. But yeah, obviously excited, super motivated. I think we've learned a lot throughout the 4 years that we've done this. The new intro, yes, people are asking about it. We get to add a little clip from the 2022 national title that they won against UNC. Heard they were down, 15 at halftime, came back and won. So
roughly.
Really excited. Hopefully pumping some content for you guys. A lot of you have rocked with us from the beginning, and it's amazing. And I love it. Love seeing you guys at tailgates and stuff like that. So we want to give you guys elite content. I hope you guys stick with us. Hopefully interview a bunch of players, maybe do some stuff at games. We want to get really creative. KU is the best basketball program in the country, really good at football. They have an elite coaching staff. So I think we have the opportunity to be insanely good at both sports. They're elite at volleyball too. So we'll do some volleyball episodes.
I don't. I know nothing about volleyball.
If Lance stays, obviously we expect him to. I think KU is going to be one of the better programs in the Big 12 for a while. Kansas basketball probably forever will be elite, but especially as Bill Self's here, we talked earlier how he has like 4 or 5 All-Americans just over the last 4 years, if you're going to count Kev and Hunter this year. So there's like multiple eras where Bill Self has just been like the most elite coach in the country. So we're super pumped about both sports. We want to give you guys a ton of content. I hope you guys subscribe to the channel, and we love KU fans. They're elite. And yeah, we want to do a bunch of content.
if you're just tuning into the live, subscribe, tell your grandma, tell your aunt, tell your uncle, tell your siblings. We got to grow this page. We got to get this going. So please do that. And by the way, I saw a couple comments about KCSN. We love those guys. We totally love KCSN. This was nothing against them at all. We just wanted to kind of be back to our old days, get back to our roots, let AB just absolutely cook when he, we've all seen AB in his at his form is when he is preparing an intro or editing a podcast or video. So he's back. He's more locked in than ever. So tonight we've got, it was hilarious because we were like, what should we do for the first show? We were like, we got to get something out this week before the Missouri game. I've heard rumblings that Missouri's coming to town this weekend, and we had to get something out. So we've got B-Turn, being the legend he is, who just the connections this guy has is outrageous. So far we've got Tyshawn Taylor. He's a reoccurring guest. He's our guy. Tyrel Reed, been on one time. He's making an appearance tonight. Greg Gurley's going to hop in tonight. He's a fun time as always. But we also, B-Turn from the clouds, snags Christian Braun, national champion, NBA champion. He's coming on the pod at some point tonight. I think right around 8:30. Is that right, B-Turn?
Yep, it's at 8:30. I'm not sure how long the episode with the segment with Tyshawn or Tyrel are going to go, but I'm super pumped to talk to those guys. Obviously, Tyshawn, there's been a lot of good games, but Tyshawn probably played in the best KU Mizzou game as far as a KU fan standpoint. They're getting punished in the first half. Connor Teahan starts hitting a bunch of threes. Allen Fieldhouse was probably the loudest it's ever been. I don't know what you could even compare it to. Maybe the West Virginia when DT was hitting a bunch of threes, but super pumped to talk about that last matchup, especially or just from a Big 12 standpoint. And then Tyrel, obviously Kansas kid, probably grew up hating them. And then he played in some big games, didn't show a ton of emotion on the court, but he had a big three in the corner in Columbia and just screamed at the student section. So pumped to have those guys on. Maybe
May I cut you off? We have a couple guys looking to join in right this second.
Oh,
and it's going against our original plan that we talked about before. So we'll go ahead and add these guys to the stage. Tyrel Reed and Greg Gurley. And Tyshawn Taylor.
Oh.
We got the whole gang.
We're going 6 deep.
We're going 6 box, baby. It's like I'm Scott Hansen on
Damn,
Red
I got to
Zone.
show my face on this bitch, too. I thought I was just coming to talk. I ain't know I was about to show my face.
We're live. Just so everyone knows, we are live.
Greg has to be the biggest legend in here, right?
Yeah, after UT squeeze.
What's up,
fellas? Not me.
After UT squeeze.
Not me.
What's up, fellas?
We've got quite the show. We got former roommates, Tyshawn and Tyrel. We've got Greg Gurley. Just, I tweeted the link to the pod before the show, and I was like, the biggest legend CB's coming on. No offense to you guys, but Greg Gurley is the biggest legend on this show right now.
We all know that. Nobody's offended by that. We all know that.
I don't know if that's accurate. Those two guys right there. We were just watching. We had an event today and talking about Tyshawn in that 2012 game. So many good memories. We talked about how good that UConn game was the other night, but 2012 was better.
Hey, can we talk about, do you think that UConn game, that atmosphere was as good as Allen Fieldhouse has been in, multiple years? I felt like it seemed a little different.
Yeah, it was pretty sick in there. Just like seeing all of the students lined up days before, kind of sent me back to 2012 when we were stepping over kids going to practice and shit like that. So that was sick.
Yeah. Greg?
And it might be better on Saturday, going to work every day and seeing the amount of students this week as opposed to last week. It's about the same, if not more. But last Friday, UConn, Wayne and I were on today doing some stuff, and we're like, that was a top 5 for me as far as Amount of people there, atmosphere. The game was great. We played with energy. We were turned up. It was pretty good. Again, I'll go back to 2012, and I'm sure Tyshawn will agree, and Tyrel as well. There was nothing like that, especially the down 19. As bad as Tyshawn was, that he was that much better.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. That is still the loudest I've heard the Fieldhouse, as a player and just as a former player coming back watching some games, and just I think the whole atmosphere behind that game. Missouri leaving to go to the SEC, it had a lot more to do with just us playing Missouri. It wasn't a regular KU versus Missouri game that year. It was like a lot more behind the scenes that was going on that made it such a good game. And then obviously you got two good teams playing against each other, so that alone is going to be like dope. But just everything that went behind the scenes, them leaving and going away, them having a really good team that year, us having a pretty good team but not the best team that we've had. I'm pretty sure that game was for like the Big 12 championship too. Like I'm pretty sure if we lose that game, we don't win the Big 12 that year, and I think the same thing happened for them. So there was some stuff. We were actually playing for something. It was just a lot going on during that game that made it so dope to play in. I'm sure for the fans and the students to be a part of. Yeah, I watched that game probably 10 times since I played in it.
Hey, Tyshawn, you probably obviously grew up around the Hurleys. Did you get a chance to talk to Danny after the game to find out what he thought about his first visit to the Fog?
I did. I talked to Danny actually before and after. I talked to Danny, and he's a Jersey guy, so he acted like nothing impressed him. Oh man, yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, that was pretty good. You guys were turned up. He was like, yeah, that was pretty good. You guys were turned up, but so he really didn't give me the feel like this is the greatest place I've ever been, but I know he respected it. Because I know him, and I know he had to respect that. You know what I mean? So
love it. Yeah.
So, all right.
I just have a question for Tyrel and Greg. Obviously, you guys both Kansas kids. We've hated Missouri forever. I mean, it goes back to the days with Quantrill and whatever. But how much did the rivalry mean to you guys growing up? And then how much more did it mean to you as players when you played against them and just getting up for that game?
You go first, Greg.
Being a Kansas City kid, I didn't really grow up a KU fan. My parents went to Central Missouri State, so I didn't have a allegiance one way or the other until obviously I went to Kansas. But I grew up with so many guys that ended up playing at Missouri. Javon Crudup as a guy I battled throughout our childhood, a great friend of mine. But being around Norm a lot when I was a kid as well, with some mutual family friends, there was a hatred that we'd go there and it was everything you can imagine. I'm sure Tyshawn and Tyrel will have the exact same stories that I have, and the stuff that is said to you. And then the bragging rights. The bragging rights when you come back to Kansas City and play summer ball at the Bell League or whatever, if you won, if you swept them that year or you split, whatever. It was just we're all friends until you play, and then there was a hatred amongst the fan bases. I'm about to say
there's much respect between the players, I think, but I think that's about it. I think that's where the respect stops, is between the players, and after that it kind of goes out the window.
Oh my God, you're exactly right. Because Tyrel and Tyshawn know. I mean, we work camps with those guys in the summer times. We become friends with the guys, even the ones we didn't grow up with. But yeah, the fan bases, it's a different level. I mean, I remember when Jay Will and Kevin McCullough last year asked me and Brady and Brennan about what it was going to be like going to Columbia. And we're like, it's like nothing you've ever experienced. They are going to talk about your family. They're going to have information about you that you didn't know that they had. And it's just, you got to listen to it and absorb it a little bit, but you also got to shut it out and play your game. And obviously last year we did that. And I mean, I'd be curious if Tyrel and Tyshawn have any good personal stories about the times you played at the Hearn Center.
You got Ty?
Yeah, I mean, it like Greg said, it's crazy because the hatred is so much there from a history standpoint and the fans' perspective. But yeah, I mean, Mike Dixon and Marcus Denman were my AAU teammates, so they were like some of the best guys on Mizzou's team. So, you always want to be able to kind of have that on them by winning the game. But playing at Mizzou is so fun. They get, when I was there, I think it was my freshman year, they got our hotel room numbers and we're calling our hotel room. So we had just had unplugged the phones.
Yes.
They were throwing rocks at the bus. You got little kids, parents, they're telling them to flip off the bus. They're like 5 and 6 years old. I know Tyshawn remembers that. So it's fun. I mean,
oh my God.
Selfishly, sometimes when I talk to Coach Self, he's like, I'm an idiot. I should have redshirted you a year. And I'm like, well, now you should have, so I could have played in that last game versus Mizzou. That would have been
sick, bro. We would have been down nice. 19 if we had you either.
Probably down 25 if you had me, but we'd have came back still. But yeah, I'm so pumped for the game this weekend, and yeah, playing Mizzou is great.
Hey, Tyshawn, do you remember Tyrel was interacting with us a little bit today on Twitter? We tweeted the link of the video of Tyrel hitting that three in the corner, and he turns to the Missouri student section, screams right in their face. And it was like, we've always just thought that was hilarious because, I mean, Tyrel played with emotion, but I didn't ever get you to be a guy to like yell at a student section. Like, did that shock you guys in the moment?
No, we've seen Tyrel get spicy before, but we just knew what kind of game it was, man. And like he said, it means a little bit more to him. He knows some of those guys personally. He played really well every time we played him. It seemed like he had one of his better games. He didn't miss shots when he played against Missouri. So no, I wasn't surprised at all. That was just how the game was being played. If you wasn't showing emotion, you probably wasn't in the game. That's just what it was. Like,
I think you passed it. I think you passed it to me too, Ty.
Was it my pass?
I think so.
Could have been. I got a few assists off of you.
Yeah, you got to turn it over.
Yeah, I got a few assists off of you. I got a few turnovers trying to pass it to you. It happens.
That's all right.
It happens. But I remember three things about Missouri. One, I grew a really, really, really big hatred for them when we went back. Was it my junior year? We went and we played against them after the stuff. A lot of stuff happened with T-Rob. We went back and they just were very disrespectful, like just very, very disrespectful of his situation. And that was the thing that kind of like made me look at the fan base. Like, I hate Missouri because I play at Kansas, but again, I didn't grow up hating Missouri because I didn't know that story. I just didn't like them because we got one of the things that just kind of completely rubbed me wrong about them. I didn't enjoy that. I didn't enjoy like how they handled that situation, specifically the fans, or how even like the school handled the fans to handle that situation. It just wasn't good. And then I remember,
and you bring up a great point, because when we go on the road and there's signs there's always going to be inappropriate signs and always going to be people say bad stuff. But it's the administration that doesn't put a stop to it that drives me crazy, because I know what you're saying, and they just kind of sit there and turn a blind eye. And that's, to me, when adults don't make the right decisions, that's what drives me nuts, because the T-Rob situation should have been untouchable.
It's like when K-State would always play Sandstorm after their administration would come out of every game and be like, oh, the fuck KU chant, you guys got to stop. But then every time we went there in February, what song was playing with 5 minutes to go?
Whoops.
Sandstorm. Yeah, oopsies. And they should do it. Like, it's funny. I don't know. But also, it's like, don't give us that BS statement the next day saying you guys don't respect it.
Just own it.
Own it, yeah.
Yeah, it was an intern that turned it on. We told him not to do it. My ass.
So I didn't enjoy that. But on a lighter note, their fans are also just assholes. Like, I remember Tyrel remembers them calling the hotel phone. They got my actual phone number. They got my cell phone number and posted on Facebook that I was like selling pit bull dogs. And like had a flyer, puppies, cute ass puppies. Had my number, and I just get a call like, you selling puppies? We're looking to buy puppies, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, like going into the towers, and there's like a flyer, 2012? It was the last year. I'm going into the towers, and there's a flyer, there's a post, like a little flyer on the door. and I'm looking at this dog flyer, and it's my number on it. And I'm like, who did this? I probably got 400 text messages and calls about me selling puppies, and I had no puppies for sale.
How many people want? I guess people love puppies.
People love
No,
puppies,
it wasn't just from the towers, but it was like a Facebook group message. Like they sent my number and this flyer out over Facebook to who knows how many people, probably the whole student class. Like I don't know, but I know I got probably 400 text messages and as many calls, like leading up to the game, like probably 3 or 4 days before the game. And I was just like, this is insane. Like they're ridiculous, bro. I probably gave my number to a girl that went to Missouri who gave it to somebody else, and it was over with. Yeah, it was over with after that.
That was Sharon too, right? Didn't Sharon do that with K-State?
I don't think Sharon was puppy. Sharon was a little.
It was like this girl that hit him up, and then she made a sign with his phone number and raised it up in the student section at Brandon.
Oh yeah. That sounded about right because I mean, we would do shit like that.
Greg, I don't know. How much you have heard, but didn't Mizzou fans kind of mess with Coach Williams a lot too?
Oh well, yeah. I mean, they mess with everybody. I mean, it was
just like
my teammates
got his phone number and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, they mess with Rex Walters was an easy target. Greg Ostertag, another one of my teammates, a big goofball. He's kind of like the Hunter Dickinson's kind of the modern Greg Ostertag, just a guy that is got a little goofy to him and a little loud. And so, yeah, and actually the Antlers were pretty funny. You guys know my sense of humor. I like that stuff. And I thought when they were funny, but then when it got too much, too personal, too racial, whatever, then they had to shut them down. It was ridiculous. So there was a point that you go out there early and you'd be like, these guys are pretty funny. Like I enjoyed that. I like to go out there early and listen to what they had to say, even if they were, telling me I sucked or other shit. They weren't messing with me because I was a bench guy, but talking about Rex or Adonis Jordan or whoever, I like that. But they took it too far and never have really come back because now they put the Antlers in like the 50th row and a bunch of fat Missouri guys with dresses on. It's kind of stupid now, but they actually were funny.
Yeah.
There was somebody's grandpa won one of those games. This guy looked like Colonel Sanders. He had like a white mustache, all white hair. I'm pretty sure he was there by himself. He didn't have like grandkids or anything, but he was old as shit. He was just like sitting basically like a seat behind the court and was just like, Taylor, you suck. How many turnovers are you going to have tonight? And I'm talking about this is like pregame. It was like 30 minutes before the game or 45 minutes before the game. I don't even think anybody else was sitting there. He was just by himself, and I'm pretty sure it was like just the guards doing their thing, and I'm just shooting around. I got my headphones in. He's like, so this is early in the game. I'm still having my headphones in. I had to like lift him up to listen to what he was saying to see who he was talking to. He's like, you suck, Taylor. Hey. This guy had to be in his early 60s. I was like, what?
That's how you know it's a rivalry. You got 6-year-old men screaming at college kids.
The other part of it that was fun when I was playing was Norm Stewart was an icon. He's a legend, and he was a character. And Norm talked more shit to us than he did with like the officials. Like you'd be playing and Norm would be in your ear. Like he wasn't coaching his team. He was complaining to the officials or yelling at us. And it was fun. This was back with Billy Tubbs, Norm Stewart, Johnny Orr, Larry Brown. Those guys were kind of different. You don't see that anymore. There's not like Bill Self's as much of a character and he's like they were back then, but you just can't do the same stuff. So Norm Stewart added a ton of it for me because you talk about a hatred of Kansas. It was Norm, the famous story that he would always take a bus from Columbia, stay on the plaza because he didn't want to spend any money in the state of Kansas. So they would bus from Missouri to go to Lawrence. Yeah, it's real.
Tyrel, do you like if you had to look back on because you play with Sharon, you play with Cole Aldridge, you play with Tyshawn, like you played on some legendary teams that probably got a ton of hate from I can't imagine the Morris twins got along with the Missouri fans very much. Like, if you think back, who do you think loved that the most? Like, who loved playing on the road or the hatred or was it you? Maybe it was you. The scream you had into the student section might be you.
I think we all hated him in our own way, just differently. Me being a Kansas kid, it was kind of this local, long-standing hatred. With Tyshawn, it comes from being there as a player and then just constantly being on top of you or deciding that, hey, they're going to get your phone number from a girl and figure out how they're going to kind of mess with you. But I don't know if there was one particular. I think Kansas kids for sure have a little bit different perspective just because I grew up in it.
Connor, Tyrel, those guys for sure felt like it.
Connor was
a
not
little bit more to
Columbia.
them.
No doubt that game my senior year where I hit the shot from Tyshawn, but when they were saying stuff about T-Rob's family situation before the game, it kind of made it even more personal at that time.
Yeah, we all wanted to fuck.
Well, I also think that now you've got basically a generation. You're talking about 10 years of not playing. And there's a generation of kids that, so let's say a college kid now is 20 years old. So they were 10 the last time Kansas and Missouri played. So they're kind of like, I don't know, when you're 10 years old, do you really see that? So it's hard to get like some of our guys in that mode that, hey, this is it. You better be ready. And so unfortunately, because of their decision to leave the Big 12, and somehow that was our fault for not playing them. I still don't understand the concept of they left and we're the bad guys for not playing them. So whatever, but that's Missouri math for you. But still, there's a decade of kids and fans that don't quite get it like Tyshawn and Tyrel and you guys.
Yeah, it is crazy, but I think what we love the most about this rivalry getting back up and going, it was still, like Tyrel said, like the Kansas kids. It was really Christian Braun in 2021 that just came out of the gates, fired up.
But isn't Dajuan from Columbia?
Mm-hmm. He is.
Did they not recruit him? Was the story that I heard the last time they played him? Like they never even recruited the kid?
Well, Dajuan's like one of the few offers Dajuan had was Missouri State, but not Missouri.
Yeah. So that, I mean, if I'm Dajuan, I'm taking that more personal than anybody. Like this is not I don't know if he's a Missouri fan or any of that, but like just to be a kid from there and to be overlooked would be rubbing me the wrong way for sure.
He had the ultimate trash talk, shit talk press conference last year because somebody asked him, "Hey, Dajuan, did the crowd bother you at all?" And he's like, "Played in the national championship game last year in front of 50,000 people. This was kind of nothing." And that it was one of the and we all know Dajuan. He's soft spoken, not really. He kind of lets his play do the talking. But when he said that, he's like, "I don't know." That's like the ultimate scoreboard to a state.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I played in the national championship. This Hearn Center or whatever it's called is nothing.
What was his IG caption after Rye? He said, "Went into my trap and took over."
Yeah, something like that with the whole crowd behind him. It was an awesome picture, but he's it's pretty crazy. We played him now the last 2 years, and I think our average win, we've won by an average of like 30 some points, close to it. It's crazy. So this week, is Missouri, I know they lost an early one, but are they?
I watched them the other day against
Jackson State.
It was like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
They was playing somebody.
Maybe Wichita on Sunday.
Wichita State. Yeah, they playing Wichita State, and I watched them a little bit.
They won at Pittsburgh and at Minnesota, and then in between there, they lost to Jackson State, who was like 1-5 at home. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a different team from last year. They obviously lost their good player and Kobe Brown. I think it was a first-round draft pick. So
playing good in the NBA right now.
Allen Fieldhouse is going to be crazy. Everyone's going to be there. Our brother Thomas Robinson is getting his jersey retired. It's going to be awesome. Couldn't pick a better game to do it. Like, what do you think the over/under is on the amount of times they're going to show the block?
I don't know.
100.
At least 7 times. I got 7.
Okay, I'll go over.
Greg,
Nice,
do you
Sean,
know
was
if
that a
this
clean
is
block?
true?
Was that a clean block?
Clean,
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah.
Did
Listen.
I read today that T-Rob like specifically requested he wanted this game, like may have even delayed this happening a little bit to get
Yeah,
this game?
T-Rob
Is that
supposed to get his
true?
jersey retired 3 years ago.
Yeah, because I remember the phone call that Bill made, and it was 2 years ago when we played Missouri in Allen, and he was trying to come, and he was playing, I think, in Puerto Rico, couldn't get back or whatever. So when Bill called him this year, he's like, Missouri. Like, it's really simple. Like a one-word answer, Missouri, I'll make it happen.
It's amazing. That is
Tyshawn, I wanted to talk about the 2012 games because someone just brought up Steve Moore in the chat. People talk about the refs in Allen, but how bad were they that year in Columbia? And what was their crowd different than other years?
We lost the game. We lost the game because of them referees, bro.
the charge on T-Rob, unreal.
Insane. Twice. It happened twice.
I played with Steve Moore.
One of them was on
That
me.
wasn't you?
Mike,
Okay.
it was at the free throw line. I was shooting a pull-up, and they called the charge. I still can't even make it up. Like, I was turning the ball over at such a high rate that it just looked like a bad play, but I was legit stopping for a pull-up, and he slid under me, and they called the charge. I cried after that game. Like, I legit walked out of the locker room in tears. I'll never forget that because I was like, what the fuck was that? I was like so mind blown by the fact that we lost the game. We played great, was up most of the game, and it was like 2 really bad calls late that kind of cost us that game. I thought. I also missed a free throw or 2 that could have maybe sent us to overtime or something, but it was just some bad calls late. So I think we should have won that game. Then we come back home, and do I get fouled late in the game? I think so. Does T-Rob block clean? I absolutely think so. But there were some calls possibly for us to get back from 19 down that may have gotten overlooked, right? But that happens. It's a fast-paced game, playing 2 hard-playing teams. The refs don't see everything. So I think that they allowed us to play a style that we wanted to play. And when they got that big lead, they were like trying to play safe opposed to trying to kill us. They almost went to trying not to lose while we were just scratching and clawing to get back. And once we did, it was over.
And then,
We talked about Wayne and I did our podcast today, and we were talking about the block, and 9 times out of 10, that's called a foul. If you really watch it, slow it down, look at the stills, T-Rob went straight up, but he blocked it so violently, it looked like a foul. If it was on the other end, we would want the call. So I don't blame Missouri fans for wanting the call. It wasn't a foul, and they will never admit that. You
think that late in the game they call that? I see that. I see that same play happen so often late in the game and never gets called, especially if it's not deciding the game. Like, that was a block to send us in overtime. It wasn't like if he blocks that, we win. So like I feel like it was a no call. Like, he threw the ball up, T-Rob blocked it, and then he kind of threw his body into T-Rob, trying to get the foul. And if they call that, it's almost like a bailout because he had no chance.
You're trying to
shot.
Ty, you're trying to sell the wrong guy.
I was going to say.
I 100% agree with you.
Okay.
But you got to look at it from both sides. I 100% agree. It was clean. But we would have expected that call. It goes down in history as one of the greatest defensive plays ever. And that's coming from a guy, you guys were teammates with him. T-Rob wasn't the greatest defender, right? He was an offensive guy. That was such a random act, such a great defensive play by a guy that was okay, right?
Yep.
It was random. It is funny that T-Rob's like most defining play, the one we think about the most, is a block shot, because like that he's a guy that had dunks and just offensive dominating guy, and it's all about the block. But
I still think about the Baylor dunk, but I agree, the blocking the Baylor dunk is like, for me,
you threw that, right?
How about the amount of
it was a terrible pass too.
5 dunks of all times against Baylor? Wayne Selden's might be the greatest dunk ever by a Kansas player.
That was nasty.
Musburger went nuts after. Gave him a facial.
That.
Ty, obviously that game was crazy. It's one of the best days in Allen Fieldhouse history. Like, that building is so historic. And there's been so many elite memories, moments, jersey retirements. But one of the more underrated plays in that game, obviously, is you going baseline to baseline, 2 dribbles. And in the moment, I don't think you really thought about it. But can you talk to us about that and kind of what Bill said to you after that the next day?
I don't remember what he said to me the next day, but I remember what was happening before that play. And he was like, if they score, we got to get it in fast and get up the court. We don't have timeouts. We don't have enough time to so get up the court. And they scored. Marcus Dimon didn't fucking miss a shot in the second half, it felt like. And they scored. And I just remember Travis kind of I'm trying to run up the court, and Travis was trying to just give me the ball. So he kind of threw it towards me as I was running up the court. And so when I finally got possession of the ball, I was at the 3-point line going this way. So it wasn't baseline to baseline. It was from three-point line to baseline, but I just pushed it. And once they were trying to get back. Their whole thing was get back. We scored, get back, get back, get back. We got the ball in so fast that by the time I got to the front court, they were still trying to match up. And Mike finally found me, but I was at the rim, and he kind of bumped me a little bit. It wasn't a hard foul. He tried not to foul me, but he did kind of bump me a little bit. And again, the ref decided he wanted to blow his whistle that time, which, I mean, he could have 10 more times during that game, but that time he did. And the difference between the prior Missouri game that I walked out crying from is I had 2 free throws that could have sent us into overtime that game. This game, I had 2 free throws to win, and I made both of them. I was shooting 72% at that time, 73%. I wasn't a great – I shot a lot a game. I shot probably 5 or 6 a game, so I shot a bunch of them, but I wasn't shooting it great at the time percentage-wise. So that shit was nerve-wracking. I was scared going up to that line, but I also remember being there some weeks before playing them there, kind of in a similar situation. So I knew that I was going to make them, but I was nervous for sure. And I also remember the very first 3 I hit in overtime. We talk about loud. That was the loudest moment. The game was loud, but that 3-pointer that I hit in the beginning of overtime, after the block, the shit was still the court was still shaking, bro. From the block, it was still shaking. And we go to the timeout. We getting ready for overtime. We come out. I don't know what the play is. I don't know. I come off like a flare screen, and I just catch the ball, and nobody guards me. And I'm just looking around like I'm about to nail this shit. And I shot it, and I made it. And from that point on, I just felt really good about the game. Even though they ended up tying it up or taking the lead again in overtime, because, again, Marcus didn't miss any shots, it felt like. But
it really did feel like you guys were going to just blow them out in overtime. It felt like one of those games, you blow that lead, you go to overtime, this is going to be over. And you hitting that 3 felt like that.
They ended up 74 to 75 at one point, because he just could not miss.
He made that shot after the buzzer too.
He made the last shot.
Jammed in the back of the room.
Half a second left in that game, we lose that game because of the shot he shot.
Ty,
okay, so Tyrel,
I thought Bill Self said, do you realize what you did? That was the most athletic play I've ever seen.
Oh, he made.
No, he's talking. No. I think what he's talking about, Ty, was when you went 75 feet.
Yeah,
with
2 dribble.
Yeah, I mean, I know that that's a crazy play for him, because he's mentioned it to me literally every single time I see him since I left. When he introduced me to camps or the people, he always talks about that play. That's the play for him that stands out the most when it comes to me. And for me, I did shit like that all the time. Todd knows, he used to have to guard me in practice. I would do shit like that every day. So for him to say, get the ball up the court, it's all right, bet. I love to do that. You telling me to do it now? Bet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was doing it anyway. But he's
the only guy to
go. I'm like, okay, bet.
The only guy to cover more ground without dribbling was Svi.
K-State. Yeah, right.
He used to dribble. Who would have thought Svi was a better athlete than Ty?
Right.
Yeah, there's no I've been watching Kansas basketball forever, and I don't think there's anybody faster with the ball going downhill than Tyshawn, but the fastest in a 5 to 10 foot gap, Remy. I don't think there's been anybody that could stay in front of him for maybe 5 to 10 feet.
He's quick.
Yeah, maybe.
I was gonna say Dot.
Remy was that 6 games when I don't know. He was unbelievable.
Ty, I don't think either one of them. I don't think either one of them was faster than me, but I respect.
No,
them.
not going. No, not down and
Just
back.
close. Just hey, relax.
I'm
Ty.
saying
We're not
quickness, not fast.
taking your crown. Man,
Hey, next
this
week,
possessive.
Tyshawn, let's do a race on the YouTube channel. By the way, if you're watching live, subscribe. New channel. We need to.
I'm old. I'll fuck around and pull something, man.
No
But
doubt. Yeah, you will.
Hey,
pull
boys.
something.
Boys, you see what I did? The first time I came on air with you jokers about 5 years ago, Ty, they had me go to some haunted warehouse or some shit that I thought I was going to get murdered.
I've been
And
there. I've been there too, brother. Don't.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know these guys. I'm like, all right, I said I'd do it. I'm downtown. It's down by the haunted houses. And I'm like, all right. AB comes and meet me, and I'm like, okay, we're going up some creaky steps, and I'm like, I feel like I'm walking into my eventual death, to my murder.
I think did Sharon do his podcast there with the Hennessy, and I did mine there too.
Yeah.
And I sat down, and
going.
they had a big bottle of Makers, some plastic cups, a jug of ice, and a mixer or something.
You didn't know you was going to drink. You didn't know you was going to the Drink Champs podcast, did you?
So I brought this out, kind of like old times. I don't see.
Yeah,
I love it.
Forcing you to drink. We saw a tweet the other day about someone saying, just saw Greg. It was like 1 p.m. Just saw Greg Gurley walk out of the wheel. Does anyone have a better life than him? And Hunter Dickinson replied and said, "Nope."
My daughter sent that to me, and I in all honesty, I'd tell you if I was drinking, I just went and had lunch. But yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, no, just lunch at the wheel seems like a.
I remember the first time you came on the pod, like the first thing I said, I was like, you realize you live, like if somebody sat me down and said, hey, draw out your ideal life, I'd probably pick Greg Gurley's life. Like you've got a great gig going there. So I'm very jealous.
Well, I get to wake up every day and enjoy what I do. I have great people. And Tyrel and Tyshawn will agree with me when you're done playing basketball or football, whatever you play, and your career's over, because mine was over quicker than those two because they were better. But when you're done, you're done. And the things you miss the most is talking shit in the locker room, being on a plane, a bus, just hanging out in a hotel when you're on the road. Like sometimes that's boring, but that's all we know for like a very, very long time. And I still get to do that without all the working out and getting hurt shit. So I agreed. I'm extremely fortunate. Tyrel gets to be around the guys a lot as well, and Tyshawn's around a lot. And it fills the gap when your career's over, the competitiveness, the camaraderie. And again, some of us are more fortunate than others that have the ability to still be around.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think
awesome.
that's so true. You talked about me and Tyrel being roommates, and we weren't roommates like all the time, but when we would go travel for games, so every time we went on a road game, coach put me with Tyrel. I started to think he put me with Tyrel to keep me out of trouble because he knew Tyrel wouldn't be getting in any trouble. So in order to keep me from doing dumb shit, room with Tyrel, stay out of trouble. But I would keep Tyrel up all throughout the night. We got games the next day. I'm on the phone arguing with my girl.
Yelling.
He is studying for a fucking, I don't know what kind of quiz or test he's studying for, but I'm up on the phone. I'm texting, I'm tweeting and Facebook, and it's 2:00 in the morning. We play Missouri tomorrow. Ty, go to sleep. Nah, man, she's driving me crazy. I can't. So the camaraderie and the brotherhood, I miss that, bro. And it's reasons like that, like having somebody like Tyrel that's kind of opposite of me when you talk about just personality and shit, but became really close to me because we spent so much time together, and he got to really know me at my real core, probably better than a lot of other people, just because he was in this small ass vicinity with me so many days for so many years. So appreciate you, bro, and I love you.
And that's how coaches build teams. Like I showed up as a freshman. I'm from Leawood, Kansas. It's a nice area and all that. I room with Ben Davis, still one of my great friends to this day. He's from Fort Pierce, Florida. Never once interacted, and the first day of Jock Towers, and it's great because you build that camaraderie, you build that brotherhood with someone a completely different walks of life from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can.
You guys want to bring
guarantee
one
you-
more person in on this really quick?
Hold
got
on.
one
Let
more guest
Tyrel
here.
finish this thought, and then let's
Okay.
bring him on.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, I guarantee you that I slept the least amount of any player on the road between Tyshawn screaming on the phone at 2 a.m. and Sharon keeping the room at 95 degrees.
Oh my god, that's psycho. dude.
I those were my two roommates on the road, and between me losing 15 pounds every night sleeping in Sharon's room, or Tyshawn, I don't know who you were yelling at, but you found somebody to yell at every time.
And
It was only one
you're
person,
definitely
man. Being that person don't speak much anymore, but it was
I
only
know,
one person.
I know who it was. Okay, I know who it was.
She used
And
to
Tyrel,
drive me crazy, bro.
you're way too nice, Tyrell, to ever even say something, aren't you? So you would just sit there and take it. All like
Just be
he's
like-
yelling all night, and you're
Just
maybe
study.
just like, "Hey, man, you know,
Just
it's 2
shaking his
a.m."
head
Put a pill.
over there with his little lamp light, trying to do homework and studying.
Tyshawn was easy to room with. Sharon, when he kept that room at 90 degrees, I slept on the covers. I never slept under the covers in how many years? It was the hottest room I've ever been in.
And you
All
didn't
right,
say
AB,
anything.
But it
let's
was
bring on-
Sharon, and I wasn't gonna say anything.
I love it. Let's
ready?
bring on another guest. We got a surprise. You guys might know. Bring him on. We're going 7 deep for a little bit.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Wow.
CB.
What a squad.
I
Parker's
like this
brother.
squad.
What's up,
man.
brother?
What's up, bro?
The legend did something that we all wanted to accomplish. National champ, NBA finals champ. Amazing.
Fucking legends, son.
Appreciate it, Gurley.
Still early too. That's the best part. Keep it up, brother.
So
All right,
CB,
CB. Go ahead.
me and you talked like a month or so ago just about before games, whatever. And obviously you have family history with Mizzou. And you said the Mizzou game in 2022 was like the one game where you just came out of the tunnel just screaming. And then 2 minutes into the game, test. So that game was obviously something for you. So just talk about that moment and how much this rivalry means to you.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty cool. It was one of the only games I think I ran out of the tunnel and couldn't contain, yelling or doing something like that. And the crowd was crazy for that game. And like you said, my family history and my brother being there and not playing as much obviously was motivating in itself. But just the crowd energy, getting to play against Mizzou for the first time, it was an amazing game. Obviously, I think I only scored in the first 8 minutes and didn't score for the rest of the game. But I think I tired myself out too much.
You was turned, bro. You was too turned.
Yeah, I couldn't
claim the
control
game was
myself.
over 4 minutes in.
Yeah. I didn't even know. I haven't seen that clip until last week when they posted it, and I saw it. And I was like, I looked at the clock. I'm like, man, no way. I said that with 15 minutes left in the first half.
How have you? Like I saw your brother today was quoted. He's saying, he went to Mizzou. Obviously, he said there's not a ton of bad blood. Like, are you trying to get him to hate Missouri, or is that just something you're like born with?
No, I mean, I don't think. I mean, he obviously went there, and like you said, he liked his time there. I don't think he would complain about anything. But I think for me as a brother, watching it, knowing how talented he was, and him, he wasn't playing, so maybe it was more of a me thing. And I didn't really hate Missouri growing up, because my family went there, so I respected them. It just didn't. To be honest with you. My brother was there. I got maybe one call from them, in the recruiting process. So, that was part of it too. So, Parker's probably not, his personality is a little different than mine as far as the revenge games go and, things like that. So his answer definitely didn't, surprise me by any means.
Is he going to dunk and scream bitch when he's running down the court?
Hell no.
No, he definitely isn't
so.
going to do that.
Greg, while we have you, CB, everyone did you get during the national title run when everyone was making, everyone was loving CB's energy, his way of yelling at people? Like, how evident was it for you guys that were courtside? Like, I still remember to this day, Iman Brennan, a college basketball writer, has one of my favorite tweets ever where he said Christian Braun just looked me directly in the eyes and called me a bitch. Like, did you did you guys just hear, like, was it just loud and clear out down there on the court?
I remember Christian's mom and dad sent me a text, and it appears that Christian's looking right at me screaming bitch after some play at the Final Four. I don't think it was directed at me, but I feel flattered
bro,
if it was.
you just calling everybody a bitch, bro.
we loved it. I mean,
It was definitely more of a college thing.
Yeah, you don't do that as much now.
Yeah,
I haven't said that word in a while, to be honest with you.
So, but it was such a this is not a great choice of words, but such an arrogant and cocky team. And the better word is probably self-confident, that they thought CB, Jay Will, David, Ray, everybody thought that this was the most talented Kansas basketball team in the history of Kansas basketball. And I don't think anybody really believes that, but they did. And I don't think we win at all without that confidence. They just had a mindset. They didn't care who we were playing. They were better than them. I mean, CB, I remember when we were in the Sunday night, we're in the ballroom or whatever for a meal. And I remember I brought Paul Pierce up, and Bill still talks about this. Paul talks about his journey and how they lost in 97. And we were just looking at CB, and he was kind of like looking at Paul Pierce like, who's this cat? Like I'm better than this guy. Paul Pierce, the truth, the legend. Now, whether that's true or not,
He
CB
also
always
shit a lot too, CB. So you was right to look at him like that. I've been around a guy.
But,
He
but
does
Bill
go
still
out
talks
of
about it. He's like, CB's looking at him like, I could take this motherfucker. You know, it was like no big deal. And CB, when he was talking, what was going through your mind? Because it was a great speech.
Yeah, it was a good speech. I talk about that a lot because I think Coach came in afterwards and joked like, because he talked for a long time and he came in and talked forever, if you remember that. And Coach came in.
Long.
I don't know what the hell he just said. Let's focus on the film or something like that. Because it was such a long speech, and he was talking about, man, becoming a pro, what it means to play Kansas and all these things. But it turned into like a 25-minute long thing, and by the end of it, we're all like, man, this guy hit his glasses on and everything. So. It was cool. But Coach came in and was like, "Man, I don't know what he said. Don't listen to that. Let's focus on the film."
Didn't Nick Collison give a good speech?
Well, there's a video that we went out and got a lot of former players and mashed it all up together, and they show a hype video on the day of games, especially in the tournament, and it's like CB, you remember it? It was like Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday's speech. Danny Manning narrated. Then it was like Joel Embiid, Marcus Garrett, Doak, Svi, all those guys basically saying, let's go get them, right? And it was raw and uncut, and it was awesome. You had to have got a little bit of a chill watching that, right, CB?
Yeah, I think throughout the whole tournament, though, they did a really good job with those. They had a separate video for, I think, before each tournament game. So, I mean, that one was obviously really cool. And I think, like you said, all the former players, sent in a video and, had different things to say, and obviously you could tell it meant so much to them, too. So that was a really cool moment. It was definitely one of those goosebump moments, similar to when you watch the, pregame video before every home game too.
Well, what's cool about that too,
this is my connection to y'all team, CB. I was on that team that lost 10 years prior to y'all winning the New Orleans. So I made it to a national championship 10 years before y'all won it in the same place. And to see y'all do that shit felt really good to me as a former player, but just as someone who has that experience to be in the national championship, to be that close, to be down 12, 13 points, start to come back and start to feel good in the same place. To see you guys do that shit was amazing for me, bro.
Yeah, we could definitely feel the love. We appreciate that, but you could definitely feel the love from all the guys before the game. And I actually told everybody, like, to what you guys were talking about earlier, I think that team was so good, and like you said, we were confident, but I think that a lot of it was, our best players did every rep at practice, and each one of our best players, whether it was me, Oach, Jalen, Dave, like, we all thought we were better than each other too. So every day.
Uh-oh. Oh, we're losing him.
Elite Wi-Fi for C.
We lost him for a little bit, but every day they just thought that one of them was going to get the job done. They could hit that proverbial switch. And I still give so much credit to David McCormack, who was probably the most scrutinized, judged, dissected Kansas player in a long, long time. And I'm sure on your guys' podcast, you did the same, because as a broadcaster, I thought it. I mean, we all love Dave, but there were times throughout the year you're like, can this guy get us? And then for him to show up the way he did in the 2 games in New Orleans, legendary. You see me, I was talking about Big Dave. We lost you, talking about how, we talk a lot about you and Jay Will and Remy and Oach, obviously, but David McCormack, the most dissected and scrutinized guy ever. You don't win the national title without David McCormack.
Yeah, it was unique because, I mean, like you said, you guys seen the tweets about, when we did the, negative tweets thing. And, man, people used to say the craziest, because I've said it. People used to say the craziest shit. Like, I looked after every game. I'm not a guy that says, I don't lie and say I don't look on social media. I like to go bookmark shit. And every time I'm on Twitter, no matter how bad I play, man, people.
I'm that guy too, CB.
They were killing Dave.
I was that guy too, CB. I used to get in trouble for my tweets, man.
No, yeah, I've seen people in person and called them out. Like,
I crawl so y'all can run, man.
Yeah, right. But not Dave they used to kill Dave, and then in our 2 biggest games, I think the Big 12 championship game at home, the one we won.
Texas.
Texas. Like he killed in our 2 biggest games. He won us the Big 12 championship regular season, and he won us the national champion on a jump hook. So he got killed, and
Nova too.
Still like the most confident guy on the course. So man, it was cool to see, man. Dave's a confident dude.
Well,
and I love him because
of the national title game, what was he saying at halftime in the locker room? Or he
Who,
was just
Dave
like,
and
he was so like he was happy, like he was like, and everyone asked what was wrong, and he was like, I'm not worried, we're gonna win this game or something.
Yeah, that's when Dave and Oach, we come in at halftime, and me and Jay Will are looking around at each other like, no shit, we're about to lose, like we're down whatever 17, and then Ochai and Dave were sitting across from me, and Ochai's all smiley, and he's like, man, we're fine, we've been here before, everybody, it's all okay. Like Dave's like, man, we played bad, we're gonna play better coming up, and I'm like, man, I've never been in this position before, I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about.
I love that. But I also love the way you said, like, he stepped up in those big moments, those big games, but there was no doubt in the huddle late when Self, like, you guys were standing around and Self was like, we're going to Dave, right? We're giving the ball to Dave, and he's going to go score. There was nobody in the huddle that doubted that call, right? Nobody was like, well, wait, maybe we should go to Remy or maybe we should go to Jalen. Like, everyone fully trusted Dave, right?
Well, regardless, nobody was going to tell him no.
I was going to say the same thing, bro. Like, who the fuck going to say no? Let's do this.
It didn't matter if we had a better idea.
They did that on defense, though, no?
Yeah, didn't Jay Will tell Self, like, we're not fouling, we're guarding?
Well, Coach was kind of on the, he was like, oh, should we do this? Should we do that? So obviously we know he's kind of questioning it. And the whole year we were a team that wanted to play it out. Like, we never wanted to foul. And so, Jay Will came in and said that, but we're not going to act like he just overruled Coach Self. Like,
okay.
that shit doesn't happen really.
Okay, that's a good point. All right, so Tyrel, CB, we've got you both here on the pod, 2 Burlington, Kansas guys. Did you guys, like, know each other, CB, when you were growing up? Were you like a Tyrel fan? Like, did you guys ever connect?
No, I was definitely a Tyrel fan. Obviously, he was the best basketball player that people from our town have watched. So we were all Tyrel fans. He's obviously a lot older than me, and I think Miss Lacey was my babysitter for a while. So that's kind of how we knew each other. His mom taught me. I want to say,
fuck, boy.
I want to say his mom taught me in 7th grade too, right, Tyrel?
Yeah.
7th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had her hands full. I wasn't very good at science.
No, I mean, I'm. It's funny because everybody's like, "Oh, Christians, you guys are both." Or Coach Self just always say, who's the best player from Burlington? I always say, like, come on, Coach, you know who that is. And then obviously we know who that is now, for sure. But yeah, he was too young when I was playing. But I mean, watching him come to Kansas, I mean, he was pretty young. But watching him play, there couldn't have been a guy that was more happy to see him out there dominating. And I'm so, obviously proud of the success he's had at KU and then obviously beyond that. But and then I guess he's kind of a Kansas City kid too, but
appreciate it, Ty.
Steve, where did your
Oh man, B-Turd.
Everybody just cut
You
me
go.
off.
I was
Horrible
trying to figure out where
Wi-Fi.
he was. He's back now.
When did your hatred for Mizzou really start? Just 'cause obviously Lisa hooped there. So when did you really start hating Mizzou?
Yeah, I was just telling my teammates this. I never didn't really hate them. You know, like my brother went there, so I used to drive to his games and things like that. I never hated Mizzou. But you know, like I said, when I started getting offers, I didn't have a Kansas offer yet. Missouri called me one time and offered me, and they never called me again. It was like they never recruited me. So that's kind of where it started. That's kind of where I didn't like them. And then, you know, you just hear the former players' stories about games against Mizzou and, you know, Coach Tell talk about it. So, you know, you knew the rivalry. Obviously, my family was, you know, mostly Missouri fans, but they didn't recruit me. And, you know, when I liked them, so I stopped liking them, obviously.
What's the story on you? Like, didn't you break a bunch of ornaments or something on a Christmas tree because they were Missouri? Like, I remember something about this story, but I don't know the full story.
Yeah, I've seen that story. I don't know. I was young. I guess my mom said I was breaking some ornaments. I don't really know about
Niggas
that.
been on demon time forever, bro.
No, I was too young. I forgot about that one.
How do
Greg.
you know that? How do y'all get y'all information in y'all stories? How the fuck you know that?
I think that was like a Kansas City Star article. I don't even know.
Yeah, it definitely came out in the article a couple times. People ask me that all the time.
Slow news day.
It might have just been my mom telling stories too.
Mom's
anything you can share with us?
Mom got habits of elaborating on shit, don't they?
Yeah, she never holds her tongue ever.
What'd you say, B-Turd?
CB, is there anything you can share with us with what you said to Kwanzaa during the 2022 game, or is that off limits?
Well, I complimented him a lot in the pregame interviews. You know, everybody always asks me about him and Parker's relationship, and obviously that didn't go as planned. But yeah, I definitely had some things to say, and it didn't help. I hit my first bucket on their side of the court, if you guys remember, right in front of them. So that kind of started it off. Then my next and one was right in front of the bench too. So I'm gonna blame that and just the positioning. But he definitely, you know, we talked a little shit. But he was nice. He was really cool after the game, and he, you know, said some nice things about me. So I got my stuff off my chest, and we beat him by like 60. So it, you know, really didn't matter to me.
So, CB, earlier we were talking with Tyrel about like he hit a big shot on the road in Columbia in his career. You obviously in 2020, oh gosh, you didn't play in the 2022 game. I was going to say, do you wish you could have played a road game in Columbia? Like those guys went on the road last year and just absolutely destroyed that team.
Yeah.
Like, do you almost think you would have enjoyed that more than the Allen Fieldhouse beatdown?
Yeah, you know, I just kind of like playing the away games more, like the Oklahoma game. You know, you hit a big shot at an away game. To me, it's you know, a better moment. You know, so I definitely wish I would have played in Columbia, or at least I wish we would have had our game that year, exact same blowout in Columbia. I mean, that would have been really fun.
Well, it was a blowout last year, and we kind of got a guy like you that like Hunter kind of likes being the villain.
Mm-hmm.
He likes like everybody booing him, and he likes to produce and shut him up. We're going to go to Indiana next Saturday, and Big Ten people hate him. Like we're in New York, or where were we? Chicago playing Kentucky. Michigan State fans stuck around and screamed and yelled at Hunt because they hate Hunter from his Michigan days.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of not, I don't think, Christian, you were like him, but you had some similarities in using the visiting crowd or the home crowd to your benefit.
Yeah, I think it'll make him play better. He'll play to that. But
it's always
I think his
fun when
personality
it's Missouri, man.
Hunt's kind of got a perfect personality, like, to play at Kansas. I think the Kansas fans were going to love him from the beginning, and obviously he came in with that attitude, which really helps too.
He keeps up with the history and stuff too. Like he's always plugged in with former, like T-Rob, for example, went live on Instagram earlier, and he was in there talking to him, and T-Rob was like, "I need 20 and 20 from you Saturdays." So this feels like a game that he'll obviously be up for, but this is a game he's going to thrive in Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
So, Greg, why do you mentioned like Hunter loving the villain role? and I get, he makes a three, he's gonna yell, he's gonna do the thing, he's gonna celebrate, he's gonna talk his shit. But like, why is he so polarizing? I don't really get it. Like, even when he was at Michigan, I never felt like I disliked him as a player. But like, I remember I have a Kentucky friend that called me after. He was like, I hate that dude more than any other player Kentucky's ever played against. And I really just don't understand it.
Well, it's kind of like, why did we hate Grayson Allen, or why do we hate Christian Laettner? They just seem to have, like, if he's not on your team, he seems like the kind of guy you just don't like. I don't have a good answer to that, but it just seems like somebody you're not going to like, right? I really don't. And I'll be honest, I watch a ton of college basketball. In the last 3 years, I would watch Michigan. I wasn't a big fan of his. I was like, he doesn't really do it. And I've told Hunt that. And now, I mean,
Hey, yo, fellas, I got to get out of here. I appreciate all of you guys. CB, keep doing your thing, brother. Proud of you.
Brother.
Ty, I love you, bro. Gurley, I think Gurley out of there. Rest of you guys, I appreciate y'all. Y'all be good, man.
Appreciate it,
bro.
man. Thank you.
See you, Ty.
Thank you, Ty.
I love that we just got Tyshawn just like walking. It was like a daily vlog from Tyshawn getting ready in his apartment, just living his everyday life.
Where's he going this late?
No,
Who knows?
I don't even want to know.
Probably go the girl he was yelling at on the phone at 2 a.m. every night you were with him, probably something like that.
I heard that way too much.
CB, who is your
Greg and
roommate?
CB or statue.
I had my roommates were.
They're both dead.
Can you hear me?
CB and
Yeah,
are they
we're good.
frozen?
Yeah, we got you.
CB's good.
Nah, my roommates were KJ. My last year, it was KJ and Kyle Cuff, and Zach Clements. And then the years before that, I had Silvio, Elijah Elliott. That's pretty much it.
What is it like? I guess you guys weren't on the road, but like, what was it like the night after Silvio picked up that stool and he didn't do anything with it? People forget he did not do anything with it, but like, did you talk to him like that night? That was just a wild move to pick up a stool.
Well, if you know anything about Silvio, that's not Silvio. Like he's the sweetest, nicest dude in the world. Like, so I think, that situation, obviously you guys know, kind of tore him apart a little bit. But I mean, it wasn't any different. Obviously he knew he was, made a mistake. But Silvio's one of the coolest dudes I've ever been around. Like, nicest guy, and, wouldn't be like that. So it was kind of 10 seconds where, he made a bad decision, but definitely a funny moment.
Took
Sorry
control
about
to
that.
drop it. Oh, you're good. Were you in the middle? Were you in the middle of talking?
I was in the
Can't
middle of
even remember.
talking. It said I didn't have it plugged in. I said my battery's low, and then it just shot. So apologize.
Yeah.
All
No,
good.
you're good. It's chaos in here. But let's see. So trying to think what else we could get from you, CB, before we let you go. But so we were joking.
I got a good
Yeah.
question for CB. I love asking this. So, good friends, my teammates that all played in the NBA, and playing in the NBA is amazing. Make a ton of money, a ton of experiences and all. And so, like, it's a business, right? And you had an unbelievable rookie year. You win a finals. It's a little different than most people's experience. How much do you miss being a Kansas basketball player and the love that our fan base, that our administration, that our support staff gives you? How different is it in the NBA compared to what it was like at Kansas?
Yeah, it's a lot different. I mean, I was pretty fortunate, like you said. I came into an organization that, we were winning already, so the fan support was good. And then the finals, it was crazy. In the playoffs, it was crazy. And that's the closest I think I've seen to a Kansas game. Was our finals series. But I tell my teammates all the time, like, there's nothing like the field house. I've told all of them they need to go visit. But just playing in there, it's like, it feels like you don't have to, get up for every game, because when you walk out, no matter what, you're gonna, like, there's no choice. You have no choice but to play out. And then you're playing for Coach Self, who, for me growing up was like, that's the only thing I want to do is play Kansas, play for Coach Self. So the atmosphere is definitely crazy at KU, because you could play on a Tuesday night in Detroit, in the NBA, and people won't even make noise. It's like, so you got to, kind of get yourself into the game. But man, playing at Kansas for me was obviously amazing, and there's definitely nothing quite like playing an exhibition game against Emporia State, and it's sold out. So it's definitely a little different in Kansas. And then obviously these dudes I've been seeing recently, are crazy, and I kind of feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I missed out on my senior year too, for sure.
And I see it to a degree. Like, not everybody knows who I am, nor should they. Just the radio guy. I'm around a lot, but when they're gone for like 10 years and they come back, they act like we grew up together because they see a friendly face that they know loved them and supported them. And in your journey throughout your NBA career, not that people don't love you, not that people don't care about you, but it's a business. And you're never going to get that unconditional love like you do at wherever you went to college, right?
Not yet, for sure. If I go back to Kansas, obviously, there tends to be a good crowd of people that, know me and all supported me throughout, whatever level it was in my career. So, the love that I get from Kansas is amazing. And like you said, I'll never see that anywhere else. But I'm in a pretty fortunate situation in Denver where, the interest in basketball here is, is crazy, and we're winning a lot. So it's been great. But there's definitely nothing like, going back to Kansas. And like I said, man, I haven't been back to the Fieldhouse in a while, and you miss it. It's like, man, you feel like you're missing out on something every game, especially because Dajuan's still there and Parker's still there, and watching guys like Kevin.
And you should never wait in a line at a bar, pay for a drink, ever. Correct? All bar owners in Lawrence, please understand.
100%.
And
have you bought a drink in Lawrence since you left Kansas?
I never was a big bar guy when I was there, so I didn't get into that much. But when we won, I kind of went out a couple times, and I didn't have much trouble. I didn't have too much trouble getting in, and it wasn't too hard. It wasn't too hard.
You three obviously played in different eras, probably different buildings. What were, for you guys, I guess we could start with Greg since you're the oldest, but what were like the toughest, craziest environments you played in the Big 12 or throughout the country, or like an underrated environment?
The loudest place outside Allen Fieldhouse was Gallagher-Iba Arena in Stillwater, Oklahoma. It only seated 6,000. These guys played when they cut the roof off and basically built an upper level, 10, 15 years ago. But back in the day, it only went up like 20 rows, and it was loud. It was crazy. So Stillwater, and then the Hearn Center, just because of the hatred and the just everything about it. Now it's Mizzou Arena, which is still pretty good, but Hearn Center and Gallagher-Iba were the two for me.
Yeah, for me, I'd probably have to say, I never won at Oklahoma State. It was the only arena I never won at. So that was a tough place to play. I don't know if it was the loudest. I just don't think we played great there in the 2 years that we played at Oklahoma State. Because we lost in 2008 with a great team. So it wasn't like it was the fans or anything like that. It was just that building we struggled in. But probably K-State. I mean, K-State obviously always shows up when they play Kansas. Mizzou always felt like an NBA arena to me. It was just like too big for the amount of fans that they had and the type of fans that they had. Their student section was good, but mainly just because they would just say a bunch of crazy things, and it was fun to listen to. But probably the loudest would be, I have to give my to K-State.
CB.
Yeah, it was a little different. I think that the years we played Oklahoma State, weren't great. Their team wasn't great, so that wasn't one. But I would say, like Tyrel said, we played really bad at Texas. I don't think I ever got a win at Texas. So we struggled playing at Texas. So I have to say them. And then I think the loudest and best energy consistently was Texas Tech. Because that seems random, but man, like when we played Texas Tech, and they were good the years I was there, man, the Texas Tech arena is kind of crazy. And then the K-State was always good. K-State was always good when we played there. I don't know for every game, but it was always good when I played there for sure.
One of the craziest records was when Bramlage opened Kansas won, I think, 27 games in a row from its opening. So we never lost there. They had good teams, but think about that.
In their building.
In their building, the first.
It might have been us that lost too.
I'm saying 27, but it might have been 25, whatever it was. They made a T-shirt, which I thought was one of the greatest T-shirts ever. Once they won, because Tyrel played bad and they broke the streak, they made a shirt that said, "Nobody comes into our building and beats us 26 times in a row."
That is good.
I actually like that. I was
kinda-
expecting the worst when you said they were making a T-shirt about beating us finally.
Kind of a self-deprecating T-shirt, which again I like. So if it wasn't for Tyrel, it might be 35 now.
I don't even know what losing to Kansas State feels like, but I can imagine that was a good feeling.
Hey, that was 2008. I wasn't getting any burn then, so I can't.
Yeah, because that was
I guess that helps, but
That was Mike Beasley and Bill Walker and Jacob Pullen. They were pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good.
They're
team.
good.
Yeah, I don't know if CB ever had any Michael Beasleys on those K-State teams, but I don't know. K-State had some decent years.
Hey man,
Did they?
Nigel Pack looked a lot like Michael Beasley in that one game.
Oh yes! Wow, I forgot about that
They're
game.
like, what do you have in the first half? Like 30 in the first half or something like that.
That was
Crazy.
they put 50 points on in the first half. That was insane.
Dajuan held Nigel to like 5 in the second half though. Like whenever
That was
we stopped switching.
right after Bill's dad had passed away, right?
Yeah, we came
Yeah,
back
it
way
was.
down like 17 that game too.
Yeah.
Ochai had a couple really great plays down the stretch that game too.
I thought you guys would
Yes.
say Ames for some of the atmosphere. I didn't. Ames is, I guess, Hilton Magic. I usually hear about Ames.
Yeah, it was good, but we've always had pretty good success there. Their fans might be the angriest bunch in all of college basketball.
They got the worst locker room, visiting locker room too.
It is a bad. No. We had the worst locker room ever was in Hawaii this past week, but in the Big 12, you're right, Ames. But their fans think that this is some massive conspiracy that the referees are all on our side. They boo everything. They boo at the national anthem. It's crazy.
Well, the fan went after
They're-
Bill Self after Lodge had 39 in Ames.
Do you remember
The
his
fan-
name?
Oh yeah. Should we
Weatherwax?
say it? Mel Weatherwax.
Melvin Weatherwax.
I mean,
Melvin?
What a guy. Name's Madden.
that's a guy that sounds like he's gonna attack another team's coach. It's just that name.
He was an angry little dude. I saw it all.
And then I was gonna say we've had Tyshawn on a couple times, and we just talked about the difference between Mizzou and K-State fans. And I don't know if you guys can attest, but he kind of said K-State fans weren't as disrespectful, but they were still creative. So I guess Tyrel and Greg especially talk about just those atmospheres and those two arenas and how maybe they're different, those fans.
I mean, they were pretty disrespectful. K-State was pretty disrespectful as well to some of our guys. I mean, I remember them saying stuff about B Rush when he just had I think he had a child at the time. They were saying some crazy stuff my freshman year. I don't know. They were both pretty disrespectful, honestly, when I was there. And the T-Rob deal at Mizzou, I don't think you can get more disrespectful than that.
No. Yeah. K-State, one of my freshmen, I think it was my freshman year, we won and we ran in the locker room because we just shake hands and go. And they were throwing quarters or change, and it hit David Johanning, who is the tallest bar owner in Lawrence, Kansas. Go to the Sandbar and see Big Dave. But Dave and Richard Scott, we're all in the locker room. They go, "Come back out. They're throwing change at us. Let's go fight." And we're like, "There's 4,000 rednecks out there. I am staying in this horrible visiting locker room and getting the hell out of this town." This is idiotic. And he came in with like a little cut on his forehead, but they, I don't know. Missouri, like I said earlier, I enjoyed them. I thought they would do it with, it was distasteful, but it wasn't disrespectful. It was just funny. And I like that kind of shit. And K-State was fine. They do it more with they're fine. They sometimes have some crazy signs, but hey, come down, Fieldhouse. We all have some fans like that. There's no question about it. It's not like we're perfect. And it's usually 10 guys, not 5,000, and the minority is always the loudest. So I don't put too much into it, like hate a fan base because of 10 bad apples.
Yeah, for sure.
DB, do you have any state fan stories?
No, I don't know that I have any. I would say the same thing though. I think that like I've always liked playing at these places, so I didn't hate the people. Like that made it fun. That was part of it. So understanding that, I definitely like playing both places. Never had any complaints. But the K-State game at the end, we definitely got into it with a couple of the fans.
T-Hand was waving.
I threw the ball to one of the guys there, man, and he didn't really like it.
That was a hilarious
tweet. The funniest tweet of my whole career, I think.
Christian Braun just threw a ball into the stands.
It was like how disrespectful, how unclassy. It's like, dude, he threw a basketball at a basketball game. Like, what are you?
He said I called his kid a name or something like that, and I was like, no, I definitely was talking to you. But
Greg and Tyrel, Tyshawn talks about just like those fan bases trolling, like through cell phone or at the hotels and stuff like that. Did you guys deal with any of that or have any stories from?
So I'm 51 years old. I didn't get a cell phone until I was 26 years old. So it wasn't when I was playing there. Like Tyrel brought it up though. We'd be at that Holodome or whatever it was in Columbia, and your phone would ring. We got smarter later in our careers. Like we would just unplug the phone, but you get a call and it'd be like, Gurley, I'm going to kill you tomorrow. You suck or whatever. Or they'd say something even dirtier than that. I guess it's a podcast, but whatever they said. And like the next day you'd hang up and the next day you'd be in layup line and they'd be like, hey, it was nice talking to you last night, girl. Whatever. And you turn around and be like, oh yeah, it's that guy. So landlines, which aren't a thing anymore, but we had to deal with, it was easier to police because we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah. That
Tyrel?
I can't imagine. Yeah, my bad. Go ahead, Tyrel.
No, I mean I was kind of locked up. I'm married to my wife that I dated through college, so none of the girls were getting my number, so I was pretty. And I also that's the difference between. I'm older. We had Twitter. Tyshawn obviously was always on Twitter, yapping and making me run for it, getting in trouble. But Christian grew up in the social media area where it was crazy, so much crazier with what people were saying to him than what they were saying to us. It was just kind of starting at that time. But for me, I was too quiet. It was nobody was ever really saying much to me.
You were doing homework on the road.
I wasn't doing, and I was never doing homework. Tyshawn was gassing that up. I wasn't sitting in the bedroom doing homework. I had that stuff done. I just had to sit in there and listen to him yell at his girlfriend back in New Jersey.
I believe it.
I was all
Christian, who was your roommate on the road?
It was my first year was Ochai, and then when Dajuan started going on trips with us, it was Dajuan from there on out.
Who was your best roommate
for a while?
You know Dajuan better than anybody, CB, growing up with him. This year is had kind of a weird year. I don't know how much you followed it. He still dominates a game with making one field goal, but offensively we need more out of him. But talk about his career, kind of really not many valleys. Out of nowhere, even though you knew how good he was, you were about the only one, right?
Yeah, I mean, nothing he does surprises you. He's been the same player, since 8th grade. Played the same way, had the same mindset. So nothing he does surprises me. I think that he picks his spots. Definitely picks his spots a lot in games, especially this year. But he wins. That's how he wins games. He's not going to change. You're not going to change the guy. He's not going to go out there and shoot 5 threes next game because you want him to be more aggressive. He's going to play the game, how he wants to play and how he thinks, he's going to win the game. And that's what makes him good to me. So he's definitely a guy on Twitter that I see, and it's you want to defend him all the time because you know how good he is. But that's just how he plays, man. He could run a second unit in the NBA right now and play the right way and defensively be okay in the NBA. Just based off of how good he is, how skilled he is, how good his hands are. But sometimes, people don't like it because he's not a a scoring point guard, and that's what, makes people happy. But I don't think you see the stats that you don't see Kevin McCullough getting triple doubles or, Hunter getting 20 and 20 if Dajuan came back and got the ball every time. So I think that in a way, I think Dajuan's making pros. He's letting Kevin get the ball and push it and make the plays himself. He's letting Hunter, pound the ball. He's letting Omarco get downhill. So he's letting KJ make the plays. Like, he's making pros because he's so unselfish, and the way he shares the ball. And you see a lot of point guards. Somebody gets the rebound, Kevin gets the rebound, and they want to run back to the ball and make every play. Well, Dajuan's not doing that, and now you're seeing Kevin put up historic numbers. So I think a lot of that, people have to thank him for that, in my opinion.
And I want to stay on the Dajuan Harris appreciation chain. Like, it was one of the biggest risks for Kansas to take a kid academically. And it's one of the greatest stories ever. And I don't think we talk about it enough. How, it just shows you that when you give a little bit of support or a lot of support to a kid that's never had support, how much he's excelled because he was given a chance to play at Kansas. And CB, without this cat right here, Kansas doesn't have Dajuan Harris because he fought for him. And again, it's one of the greatest stories. And I think we need to do a better job of telling it, because Dajuan's not going to tell it because he's quiet. He's a deflector. But you know Dajuan from forever ago. And again, one of the greatest success stories ever because of college athletics.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I could talk for him, about him for hours. But I think it is the greatest success story I've ever heard. The way, like you said, credit to Coach Self, taking him and giving him the opportunity. And I think Coach Self does that for a lot of guys. So, credit to him. But, growing up with him, knowing how good of a person he was, I don't want to take any support away that, his mom and his family members, his brothers and sisters, they love him to death. And, just how he changed, where he was at, came to KU and was a, all academic guy. Has continued every day, shows up to every practice, is on time, does what he's asked, and has lost family members while he's been at Kansas. He's gone through so much. Like, none of us are even remotely, as tough as him. And Coach knows that, and Coach respects that. So what he's done is amazing, and just to continue to play unselfish the way he plays, and like I said, made me a pro, made Ochai a pro, and has been unselfish through all of his years at Kansas, and all the years I've played with them. When I met him, he was a big brother to me. People don't know that. He was taller than me, and so he picked on me a little bit and kind of got me to where I was. So I'm grateful for him. But just to see his toughness and the things that he's been through, and then to be the best point guard in the country, like he's been since he's been in 7th grade, and finally get the recognition, means the world to me. So just watching him do that, man, it fills my heart, it fills my mom's heart, my family's heart. And, he's a really good person, and he deserves everything he's got, because he's.
And Christian won't bang his own chest, and nor will Donnie and Lisa. But without the Browns, Dajuan's not there either. So fantastic, such a cool story.
Tough,
sorry
tough
to
kid,
make
though.
it sappy.
Yeah,
No, we love
kid.
it.
He's done a lot for us too. I want to make sure I point that out, man. Like, I wouldn't be, where I'm at. He kind of took me under his wing, like I said, when I met him, and so it definitely wasn't all me getting him to Kansas, but he provided me with a lot of opportunity, and a lot of love through those years too.
CB, can you give us like the play-by-play of when he committed and how big of a part you were of that?
Yeah, this is actually funny. So I think Coach was made aware of him. I think it was Coach Howard who was recruiting him at the time. Coach Howard asked me, "Hey, man, like, how close are you with Dajuan?" And I was like, me and him have stayed together every summer for the last 4 summers, so I'm very close with him. And he was like, "Man, do you think you want to come to Kansas?" I'm like, "Yeah, like, what do you mean?" And he was like, "You sure?" Like, and I was like, "I bet you if I call him right now, he'll say yes." And we're at practice, so obviously it's not right there. But I was like, "I bet you if I call him right now, he'll tell you yes." So I texted him after practice. I was like, "Hey, Juan," I think I Snapchatted him, whatever it was. I was like, "Hey, Juan, you want to come to Kansas?" He's like, "Yeah." Like, how? Well, what do I need to do? And I'm like, "All right, well, I'm talking to Coach, and they like you a lot. They like you, they want you, and they just asked me about you." And he's like, "All right, bet, keep me updated, let me know, what I need to do." And then they went and watched him, at Peach Jam,
and I think he had triple-double first game and played really well. So, they wanted him from there. So I didn't have to do much. They already liked his skill when they asked me, but when I texted him, he responded right away and was like, "Man, what do I need to do? I'm coming." There was no convincing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we've been talking Dajuan obviously already has a national title. He potentially could play 2 more years at Kansas with the COVID year. Likely will, I would think. But he has a chance, and Greg, you've seen a lot of teams, a lot of players. He has a chance to go down as one of the most, I don't know what's the right word, but he could win. I mean, he could be a top 5 assist guy, a top steals guy, have multiple Final Fours, 2 national titles, multiple Big 12 titles. Where does that put him in the history of Kansas basketball players? He's already going to be there, but another title or another Final Four, it's tough to beat.
Well, I think where it gets a little cloudy is so much people talk about success by what they do in the NBA. Perry Ellis is one of the all-time great players at Kansas, not an NBA player. Doesn't make him a bad player. He just, CB knows better than anybody. There's guys that are really good in college. Drew Timme isn't playing in the NBA. Oscar Tshiebwe isn't playing in the NBA. It doesn't mean just because you doesn't make you any less of a good player. And I don't want to foreshadow that Dajuan doesn't play in the NBA, but I think if he doesn't have a career or a long career, that will hurt him. I'm a believer that he should go down as one of a top 5 all-time great point guards at the University of Kansas that is loaded with great point guards. When you look at the Jock Vaughns, Kirk Heinrichs, Aaron Miles, this is Dajuan's 6th year in college. He is still 470 assists away from Aaron Miles. We forget, why isn't Aaron Miles considered one of the greatest of all time at Kansas? Because he didn't really play in the NBA very much, right? Aaron Miles was, he's borderline should be in the rafters. So I'm kind of all over the map here, but I worry that Dajuan will get put into that group, even though he won a national title. He's going to be in the top, every point guard statistic. He's going to steals and assists, and then defense isn't a stat, but he's one of the best defenders ever at Kansas. Yeah. So I don't know. It's almost a better question for CB. He's going to be biased, as he should be, but where would you put him, CB?
Yeah, I think he's always going to be underappreciated. I think that a lot of guys are like that come through Kansas. For Marcus Garrett, he might not have been a big statistical guy, but was our best defender, for however long he was there. And so, the guys like that always are underappreciated because he's not the scoring guard, that everybody wants.
Kicks dig the long ball. That's how it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. But now he's going to be underappreciated, but there's a lot of good players that have played there, but he's definitely up there. If you value winning, and being a winner, then he'll definitely be top 5 in my opinion. And I think I've tweeted this before. He's definitely the greatest I've ever watched. He's my favorite. He's my favorite to watch. So, he's amazing, man. It's kind of crazy that he has a couple years left too, or another year.
And more than likely he won't get his jersey retired because the odds that he's the Big 12 Player of the Year or an All-American, I don't know if the country has embraced him like we have. So unlikely that he'll go up, but
that's bullshit in my opinion. How we do that is bullshit. I'm just
hey, don't.
I'm gonna put that out
there. Relax.
I'm gonna put that out there.
Okay.
The rule or the fact,
I just don't.
Have we ever changed that? Ever put someone up there that didn't meet the qualifications?
What do you have to be, an All-American, right?
It's Aldridge got
All-American, Big 12 boy.
Yeah, but that was a deal that if you were the academic All-American of the year, you got up there. It was a.
Well, Dajuan might get up there then because I think he's a 4.0 student too.
Hey, there we go.
There's our loophole. But academic All-American of the year, Big 12 Player of the Year, most outstanding player in the Final Four, and then obviously Big 12 Player of the Year or whatever. So there's some other stuff, I think. And then obviously there's one guy that can do it. Bill can make a decision.
That's what we were always saying with Dave. The title, Dave doesn't have those accolades, but he has the most like memorable shot of that game to win a championship. So like
CB, as much as you love Ochai and all your teammates, who's the most outstanding player in the 2022 Final Four?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's Dave.
Yeah,
But I mean,
it was
I
crazy.
think we all kind of knew. We all kind of knew going in. We had an understanding that, he was going to get it. But no, Dave, biggest shot. What did he get? 20 and 10.
20 and 10, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I
He was
mean,
really good against Nova too. I know that wasn't really a close game. You hit the big shot late, but he killed against Nova too.
yeah, no, he was great. He was, like I said, every big game he played in, he was arguably our best player.
And Bill's stubbornness kind of helped. I mean, I remember you guys playing Dayton in that tournament, and he went into Dave, and that's when KU Twitter really loves to melt down after regular season losses. But Bill went into Dave. Dave kind of fumbled it. You guys ended up losing, but then he goes into Dave in the clutchest situations in the national title game and converts.
CB, you remember post game in Orlando when we lost to Dayton, how much Dave took the heat. I mean, I don't usually feel sorry for you guys. I felt sorry for Dave that day.
Yeah, yeah, he did. That was, I mean, it was a bad loss, but if you remember, I got the technical that started the, 16-point run, and we lose the game. We lose the game, and coach comes in and blames me, and I'm like, shit, I dunked all over him. What are you talking about? Like, he's like, and he was like, it's your fault, whatever. But Dave, took the heat for that, but. Coach tried to.
So what do you mean by took the heat in the post game? Like just Twitter, or like was it even the press and?
No. It was just locker room. Like when we go back to locker room, I go back to interview Bill. He's yelling at the team, and Dave didn't have a very good game. And CB, you remember it? I mean, he yelled at all of you, but I remember feeling bad for Dave, and I usually again don't feel bad for you guys.
Well, he gets it from coach, and then he goes on Twitter and gets it from everybody else too. That's
yeah.
So that
was bad. That was bad. So okay, we probably gotta let you guys go. This has been amazing, but I got one more question. I want to hear about this current Kansas team. We talked a lot about Dajuan. We talked a little about Hunter Dickinson. We didn't even get into Kevin McCullough and the season he's having, but I want to hear from each of you guys about. And don't just be biased and say, oh, yeah, I think they're great. Like, what type of expectations do you have for this team? Do you truly think they can go out, win a national title, make a Final Four, win the Big 12 title, have that typical Bill Self year? Is there anything that makes you think that maybe doesn't happen? Oh, is Greg getting in trouble?
No, I'm saying hi. Mrs. Gurley. She wanted to know what I was doing. I got Christian Braun, Tyrel Reed. Remember those weird guys I went and did their podcast in that haunted?
Yes.
Those guys. Uh-huh. I'm sorry, Tyrel, go ahead.
He's a legend for that.
Oh, I mean, I'm fortunate, I get to be around, like Christian knows, I get to be around the guys a lot. Definitely from like a healthcare standpoint, and I get to spend a lot of time with the guys that way. And just seeing the guys this year, of course, I think we have the pieces to, no doubt, run the Big 12, win a national championship. I mean, obviously it's 6 games in March, but I think our margin for error is probably less. We've got to, stay healthy. We've got a great core group of guys, and I think we have an opportunity for, some of our bench players to really step up and to kind of unload some of that on our starters. But I mean, we got the best coach in basketball. We have arguably the best point guard in basketball, the best big man in basketball, the best wing. I mean, and then we got KJ who. So I think the sky is still the limit with this team. It's always national championship or bust at Kansas, and we want it to be that way. But I think our margin of error is just a little bit smaller.
Yeah. What do you think, CB?
I think I agree. Any team we got, like you said, we got the best player almost every position. And then, like you said, we've been looking for that 5th guy, but I just think that people are worried about the shooting a lot. I think Kev's shooting the ball well. Hunter's shooting the ball well. Dajuan's gonna shoot when he's open. Like, I don't worry about that as much. I just wish I want to see somebody be aggressive on that 5th spot. Like, you see Jamari. If El Marco played half as hard as Jamari, I think they're going to be in a really good spot. And that takes him a second, man. He's young. It's not going to happen right away. You're going to have to let him, play through some stuff. But I think that if that fifth player can just be a guy who plays really hard and, hits a shot here and there, I think that's what they need. But, it takes a second. I don't want to put, too much pressure on those guys right now. It's early. But coach will definitely have them ready. I don't think that, come March that there will be a team better than them, in my opinion.
And it doesn't take a rocket science to figure this team out. I mean, we all know ball. We all know what we are. CB was with us in Puerto Rico. We saw how we played against pros, and there's definitely some things that we need to get better at. I think we're a very good defensive team, but we've got 4 really good defenders. And when you don't have 5 that you can trust, it's hard because, Kevin, KJ, and Juan are great. Hunter is above average, but in that 5th spot, Marco's young. CB just said it.
But he can be one.
But he can be one. It's going to take, like you said, he's going to have to play through some stuff. We're going to have some growing pains. Murphy is really good. I really liked what he brings to the table, his athleticism. He's just has a slight build. He's going to get beat around a little bit. He's immature, but he's got a really good basketball IQ. He can shoot it. He's as good of an athlete as there is on the team. So saying our margin for error is very slim is the exact right way to put it. We shot the ball great against UConn, but I don't think we're going to be – this is by no means Svi, Malik, and Devontae. This is, when Kevin shoots the ball well, he's a pro. Like, he's a great defender. He's great off the bounce. He's smart. And his biggest stumbling block is going to be shooting the ball consistently. And he can make a living in the NBA, I would imagine, CB, because of his intangibles. But the longevity of his career is going to be predicated on how he shoots the ball. The other night, he single-handedly won the game for us against UConn because he shot it well. If he does that, he's one of the best guards in the country. And we're an entirely different team. The national championship team, CB, how many guys played in the national championship game? 7.
Yeah, I know I played that. I was just about to say that, like, when it comes to a big game, and, Parker knows this, I've talked to him about this, like, when it comes to a big game, coach is only going to play 6, maybe 7 if he has to. Like, so,
It's always been that way.
Whenever El Marco or Furphy figures it out, like, this team's going to be really, really good. Like,
and we're going to – yeah. And the thing that we could struggle with, we don't want to, knock on wood, injuries are going to be killers for us because we don't have a bench. We have 9 scholarship guys. That's it. And we have to stay healthy. And that's not some crazy smart statement. Anybody can see it.
But
numbers are low.
Team, I think every coach self team is like every big game you're only going to play 6 or 7 players, and the guys that are 1 through 5 are going to play 36 minutes. Like you said, national championship game I play 40. So it's not like you need people. It's funny if you read the KU Twitter stuff, like people are like, man, we're so worried about depth and we're looking for this 8th and 9th guy. There is no 8th and 9th guy in a big game. There is no like whenever I was in school, people were on Twitter saying that J. Cole and Joe Yesufu need to start over me at this time of the year. Like this is an every
I
year
totally
thing.
agree with that. I think they should have.
I'm serious. I have bookmarked tweets of people saying that those guys need to start over me at this time of the year. It's like it happens every year. You're gonna go through it, and then when conference play comes, you're gonna see who's what during conference play. One of those guys is gonna figure it out, and we're gonna have a 6 or 7 man rotation going into March, and we're gonna win a lot of games. That's just how it goes every year.
Yeah, and I think this year more than any, Bill's gonna have a lot more plays because I don't think we have as many playmakers. CB could get his own shot. Jay Will could get his own shot. Remy could obviously get his own shot, and obviously Ochai. Right now, we got to set stuff up. KJ ain't getting his own shot unless he really works for it. Kevin is like the one guy. Hunter, if he gets good position, but they could double. Dajuan is passive. So our schemes are going to have to be that much more important, and box sets, plays to get guys in a position to score. Because, again, CB could take over with 8 on the shot clock, and that's how you win national championships.
They don't know how to play out of a double team yet, though, Greg, at all. Like whenever Hunter got doubled in Hawaii, they look lost. Like, and it's like I said, it's early. They probably haven't seen that yet. Marquette's a good team, but it's like whenever Hunter gets doubled, you know, they didn't know the rotations at all, and I think that's why they lost that game. But
Yeah,
they
and
need one more.
if I'm coaching against Kansas, what would you do? I'd triple team Hunter Dickinson, and I would not let Hunter Dickinson get 28 and 20. I would make and you might lose the game by allowing Kevin to shoot 10 threes, but you might not. You're going to lose if Hunter goes 15 of 18 from the field. I guarantee you that.
It's weird because a lot of their struggles. I'm not gonna say that we have struggles with that stuff, but like the Nuggets have a similar offense because we play through Nikola similar to way, you know, they play through Hunter, and we have a 4-man that doesn't shoot threes, you know, as much, and Aaron. So like when I was in Puerto Rico, I'm like, man, KJ, like go watch Aaron Gordon, because you know all Aaron Gordon does, because people play off him, he hands it off and sets uphill DHOs, you know, and now it's a party at the rim. Like they just haven't figured that out yet. And that, you know, that coach will figure that out, and the guys will figure it out. And they're going to shoot open threes all the time, but they got to figure out how to play through Hunter. And I don't think that, you know, those guys have played with the big that's that good yet, to be honest.
Yeah, and welcome to college basketball, the new era when you have so many new guys. Hey, it's December 7th or whatever it is. It ain't going to happen by December 7th. There's a lot of chemistry, and that's why Puerto Rico was so good for us. CB saw it in person. We got really good games against good competition and started to learn, and it's still going to take time.
Yeah.
I mean, can I ask one more? I was just wanted to talk about Bill developing players, like how freaking good he is, because obviously 2022, Oates pretty much made a post on social media that he was gone. He ends up coming back, All-American. Jay Will, I remember Bill talking before the season, like we need Jay Will to be an All-American type player. First team All-American. This year, Kev was all but gone. Kev comes back, going to be an All-American, first team, second team, whatever. How freaking good is he at developing, and what makes him so good at just developing players? The longer they stay, they become All-American type players.
I think I mean he's obviously really good at developing players, but you know, when it's your turn, coach understands that. You know, when you've waited 4 years and you know you waited your turn, how Ochai waited his turn. You know, when those guys wait their turn and it's their senior year, coach has so many really good sets. You know, to get those guys buckets, and you know they've played in the system for that long, and that, you know, they know what he likes, and so obviously he's good at developing players. But I think that, you know, when it's those guys' time, coach respects that, and you know those guys get a heavy dose of plays. So I think that, you know, he's doing a really good job of that. And like I said earlier, I think it's an underrated thing, you know, how Dajuan is helping these guys, because he's getting these guys in the right spots. You know, he gets the ball to them where they like it. And he's so unselfish with his stats. It's like, man, if your point guard only gets 3 points and 3 rebounds and 5 assists, then Kevin is going to end up with 20 points and, you know, 12 rebounds and 6 assists. So I think Dajuan's part of that too.
Well, I think the best recruit we got this year wasn't Hunter Dickinson, even though that was a huge deal. It was getting Hunter Dickinson, but the best recruit was getting Kevin McCullough to come back, because this team is entirely different if Kevin doesn't come back. And I think history helps Bill a lot, because like CB said, Ochai got all the information from the NBA, and it was negative, because if it was positive, he wouldn't have come back. They told him things he needed to work on. He absorbed it. He came out, was the MOP of the Final Four and a national champion and a lottery pick. Jay Will sees that, got the exact same information. He gets better, has an All-American season, doesn't win a national title, but Kevin McCullough sees that. So Bill gets a lot of credit, and it's well-deserved, but he also has the ability, and CB and Tyrel can talk to this better than I, because I didn't play for him, even though I know how he works. He's great at proving to everybody that the pie is big enough for everybody to get a slice, to be super cheesy about it and sacrifice it. You're not going to win it all without role players. CB doesn't win it if J. Cole and Mitch Lightfoot aren't doing what they're doing. It takes everybody, and Bill's a master at getting those guys to believe that. And whether it's true or not, he convinces you to believe, right?
Yeah. And I love it because he's always right. Like he's just one of those guys that he can back it up because he's been right about it all.
And please don't ever show this to Bill because we can't afford his head getting any bigger and being all this positivity flowing because he's always super negative to me and makes fun of me. And here I am kissing his ass. So please don't show him the nice things that I say about him. Can you promise me that?
Yes.
We'll promise that only if you get him on this podcast.
No, shit. He hasn't come on my podcast this year.
Yeah, he's a tough get.
How close was Jay Will to going pro after his junior year?
I think even with the Kevin situation, I don't think that they're that close, to be honest, because you get to get a lot of feedback, like Greg said, like you get a lot of feedback from those guys, and typically, like whenever I put my name in it, my sophomore year, it was quick. I knew like, all right, this isn't where I want to be. This isn't where I want to get drafted, so I need to come back. So that pretty early. But I will say that the NIL stuff definitely had a big influence, like has a big influence now, and I think it's a good thing because, Kevin, knowing that he's going to get paid coming back, made it a very clear like, oh, I don't need to go to the NBA. I can stay here, make my money, take an extra year. And if you guys have paid attention to like the draft stuff, I mean, they got Kevin flying into the top 20 right now. So I think they had one come out today on Bleacher Report. He was 15. So he waited. He's in the perfect draft. And I think Kevin's underrated pro too. I know you said something about that too earlier, Greg. I think he's an underrated pro. He does all the things that the NBA wants. He's long. He's a wing. He can dribble. He can make plays, rebound, and defend. So I think he's going to be a good pro.
And that's one thing we haven't talked about. I'm glad CB brought it up. He kind of, CB got the benefit of NIL, but it's nowhere near like when he was playing. There was opportunity, but there wasn't as much money. It
wasn't even close.
I know, but I'm saying at least it was there. It's way better now, and I know you don't want to hear that, but it's a space that I work in on a daily basis. It is way better, which again, hey, if somebody's got a right to be pissed, it's guys like me and Tyrel. We couldn't get an extra freaking bowl of pasta or we get suspended. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
So I don't want to hear your sob story, DB. You got your stipend, you got all your other stuff. These guys are getting, especially at a place like Kansas, where they're doing a lot better, and it will have some impact on guys coming back.
It's important now.
Imagine who would sponsor Greg Gurley. NIL companies would sponsor Greg Gurley when he was in college. Bullwinkles, Wheel,
Twins, Yacht Club, Bull, Wheel,
the highest paid player in Kansas history.
No doubt.
Those companies. Well, guys, this was so awesome. We put this together in 3 hours today, so it's unreal that you guys were all able to come on and do this. Yeah, I mean, we're not. Greg's been to our old school studio. We are not the most prepared guys, but
CB, don't go to their studio. Trust me.
Oh, we're gone. We're out of there.
We're done.
Yeah,
it's a virtual world now. Greg,
is everybody gonna be at the game?
Yeah.
Do what?
There.
You guys are all gonna be at the game?
I think so.
I'm thinking about going. Yeah.
Yeah, T-Rob with his jersey retirement for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be nice to be in the field house, man.
When do you play again?
You're going, aren't you?
Oh, breaking news!
I don't know. I want to. We might be off on Saturday, so that'd be pretty cool. But I have a important job I have to be here for. So
well, fill me in. What do you? I might be able to help. Are you off on Saturday?
I don't know yet. It's gonna be a close call, Greg.
Well, let me know.
I will. I already talked to Angie. Me and Coach already talked a little bit, so we're figuring it out.
Greg, do you know anyone around the program that could maybe help someone like me get in the building for the game?
So we go from Christian Braun.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about the important people here. Let's get B-Turn there into the stadium, please.
NBA
Go find a way.
Or you.
B-Turn's gonna have better seats than all of us somehow. I don't know how
Oh, he'll make
turn
it
up.
happen.
Yeah, it's
Hey,
unreal.
you know what I admire is that you ask.
Exactly. It's
He's
what I
never
always
afraid to
say.
ask.
He
It
just
took some
asked, and that's
balls.
why he gets all that
took
shit.
some-
He was sitting,
it took
Greg,
some-
and I'm sorry to keep this going. On National Championship Monday, it was Paul Pierce, Jeff Boschee, all these Kansas greats, and freaking B-Turn in the middle of that player's pit. I will never understand it. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. The guy, I don't know how he does it.
I stuck out like a sore thumb.
Proud of you.
Yeah.
I respect it. I'm mad at you. I mean,
Yeah.
I may not tell you yes, but I respect it.
It'll be yes at some point. You just got to keep asking.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much for joining. And we've already got in the chat over here, people are calling this like an all-time great pod, all-time great night. People have just been sitting here for 2 hours listening, and that's amazing.
Well,
So we appreciate it.
I know I'm not supposed to promote other podcasts, but Wayne Simeon and I do our podcast, the Jayhawker podcast. We just did one today. We didn't have it was just me and Wayne today, so it wasn't all this, but check it out. I love your guys' stuff, and don't ever invite me back to that whatever horror movie crap studio you had.
Horror movie. Yeah,
No
I told everyone in here it was going to be 5-10 minutes. We just need 5-10 minutes of your time. We're here 2 hours.
I'm looking at 1 hour and 56 minutes and 29 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Right.
Tyrel's been here basically I guess Greg has too. You all got here that early. So
Greg
man.
was here right when Ryan said, "All right, folks, what's good?" And I felt weird like not putting him in right away, but we had to kind of like talk about our thing really quick, and then I think
Patient.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love it. All right.
Before
well-
you
CB.
open that, I'm good.
All right, y'all.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
y'all.
Yo,
Thanks, guys.
rock chalk.
See you guys. Well, should we wrap it up? I mean, we're still live. If you're just now joining, we are, like we said, this is our new YouTube channel. We're going to have a new podcast feed. That means our old episodes are still sitting out there. You can still go listen. They're never going away. But we have a new feed. So you got to, once we get that out, we'll tweet it out. We'll get it going. But the main thing right now, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Tell all your friends that you just listen to Greg Gurley and CB and everyone talk for 2 hours. We'll get this episode out soon. Hilarious. This was great. I loved it, boys. And this is exactly why we wanted to go out. We wanted to be independent. We wanted to just do creative, crazy stuff like we somehow pulled off tonight. So this was great. Thank you all for tuning in. And yeah, B-Turn, AB, you guys got anything?
Just a big one at the Fieldhouse Saturday. Huge rivalry. I know kind of some of that juice is gone, obviously, from them going to the SEC, but still all the stuff that happened between, like I said, Quantrill and all that, like you always have that hatred in your heart for Mizzou. Hearing it from these players just validates it. Like the 2012 games, I guess, but the game at the Fieldhouse, like that's one of the most historic days in Allen Fieldhouse history, and that building is one of the most historic of all time. So pumped to play them again. Hopefully we shit pump them again. And I'm just ready to see what the building looks like. And Hunter Dickinson playing at the Fieldhouse against a rival, he's probably going to be going nuts after every bucket. So can't wait to be in there Saturday.
Only thing I got. Thanks everyone for listening. Please subscribe. Helps us a lot. Brand new channel. We got to build it up. But like Ryan was saying, we like doing creative shit like this where 7 guys can be on the podcast at once and just talking back and forth, and it doesn't feel like it would work, but we make it work and we like to make it work. So more of that coming. Go ahead.
If Tyshawn Taylor wants to walk around his apartment and just do chores while he talks on our podcast, we're going to let him do it.
Yeah.
Who cares? I loved it. Hilarious stuff. So, yes, thank you guys for listening. We will be back next week. Thank you all for chiming in the chat. Hilarious stuff over there. But, yes, we'll be back next week, hopefully recapping an absolute shit pumping of Missouri again. So, that's it. Rock chalk. I don't know how to end a live show, AB, so I'm going to leave that up to you.